Before anything in your life can change, one simple truth must be understood. Nothing changes until you do. We often wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect motivation. But real transformation begins the moment we decide to take responsibility for our lives. Every breakthrough, every success, every new chapter starts with a shift inside you. If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten. Today, I want to share 3 powerful rules that can help you rewrite your life story, starting now. Asterisk rule 1. Asterisk, change your mindset. Asterisk. Changing your mindset is the beginning of every transformation you will ever experience in life. Because everything you desire, every dream, every goal, every breakthrough starts in the private spaces of your mind long before it ever becomes visible to the world, and yet most people live their entire lives without realizing that the greatest battles they will ever fight are not against the circumstances outside of them, but against the beliefs they carry within. When you begin to change your mindset, you begin to change the internal architecture of your life. You start dismantling the quiet fears, old doubts, and inherited limitations that have silently directed your decisions for years, and you open yourself to an entirely new understanding of who you are and what you are capable of becoming. Your mindset is the lens through which you interpret reality. It determines how you see yourself, how you see your obstacles, how you react to failure, how you receive criticism, how you approach challenges, and how you imagine your future. When your mindset is negative, fearful, or fixed, your life shrinks, your decisions become small, your confidence weakens, and your potential stays locked behind invisible walls built from thoughts you never questioned. When your mindset is empowered, hopeful, and growth-oriented, your life expands in ways you never imagined possible. The mindset you carry shapes the meaning you assign to everything success, failure, pain, rejection, opportunity, time, effort, and the meaning you choose becomes the story you live. Most people are not held back by external circumstances, they are held back by the stories they repeat to themselves about their limitations. They wait for life to become easier, for the perfect moment to arrive, for motivation to magically appear, but nothing changes because they have not changed. You cannot create a new life with the same thinking that built your old one. The greatest form of self-sabotage is believing you are powerless when in reality you are simply untrained in using the power of your mind. Changing your mindset means taking responsibility for the thoughts you allow to grow inside you, and understanding that every thought is a seed that either nourishes your future or destroys it. When you tell yourself you can't, your brain shuts down pathways of possibility. When you tell yourself you are capable of learning, your brain begins to rewire itself in your favor. This is not motivational fantasy, it is neuroscience. Your brain is constantly reshaping itself through neuroplasticity, meaning it adapts to whatever you repeatedly think, feel, or do. Negative thoughts carve deep internal grooves that make pessimism automatic. Positive, empowering thoughts create new pathways that make growth natural. But these changes do not happen overnight. They happen through repetition, awareness, and intention. A mindset does not transform by accident. It transforms by deliberate practice. You must become conscious of the thoughts that weaken you. Thoughts like, I'm not good enough, success is not for people like me, I don't have what it takes, or this is just who I am, and challenge them with new truths. You must train your mind the way an athlete trains their body. Consistently, patiently, passionately. A strong mindset is not something you inherit. It is something you develop by facing discomfort, embracing challenges, and refusing to surrender your future to the fears of your past. The moment you realize that you are not your thoughts, that you can step back, observe them, question them, and replace them, you unlock the first doorway to freedom. People fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack belief in their ability. People quit not because the path is too hard, but because their mindset convinces them they are too weak. People stay stuck not because they lack opportunities, but because they are mentally conditioned to expect disappointment. Every time you doubt yourself, every time you underestimate your strength, every time you repeat the same harmful story about not being worthy, you strengthen the prison bars that keep you small. But the opposite is also true. Every time you choose courage over fear, discipline over comfort, growth over stagnation, you weaken the old patterns that have controlled you for so long. Changing your mindset means changing your identity, redefining who you are and what you expect from yourself. You stop saying, I can't, and you start saying, I will learn. You stop saying, I always fail, and you start saying, failure is part of progress. You stop saying, this is too hard, and you start saying, hard things make me stronger. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, what is this trying to teach me? You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as the creator of your destiny. When your mindset shifts, everything else begins to shift with it. You become more resilient, more disciplined, more focused, more confident. You stop waiting for motivation and start building habits. You stop fearing challenges and start seeking them. You stop repeating the same emotional reactions and start responding with clarity. You stop blaming others and start taking full ownership of your results. A changed mindset transforms your relationship with failure, because instead of seeing failure as a dead end, you begin to see it as data, as feedback, as experience that sharpens your skills and deepens your wisdom. A changed mindset transforms your relationship with success, because instead of treating success as something reserved for special people, you begin to understand that success is nothing more than the accumulation of daily disciplines fueled by belief. A changed mindset transforms your relationship with time, because you stop wasting days waiting for perfect conditions and start using every hour as an investment into the person you want to become. A changed mindset transforms your relationship with fear, because you stop running from it and start seeing it as a sign that you are growing. A changed mindset transforms your relationship with your past, because you stop allowing old pain to dictate your future and start turning your experiences into strength. And perhaps most importantly, a changed mindset transforms the relationship you have with yourself. You begin to treat yourself with compassion instead of criticism, with patience instead of frustration, with belief instead of doubt. You stop being the enemy in your own head and start becoming your greatest ally. You begin to recognize that you are capable of far more than you ever realized. You begin to feel the quiet confidence that comes from taking control of your inner world. You begin to understand that your thoughts are not just random flashes of the mind, they are the blueprint of your life. When you take responsibility for your mindset, you take responsibility for your destiny. You become the author of your story instead of the character that life tosses around. You begin to think like a creator, like a builder, like a warrior of growth. And once that shift happens, nothing can stop you from evolving into your highest potential. Changing your mindset is the most powerful act of self-transformation, because your mind is the root of everything. Your habits, your decisions, your actions, your reactions, your confidence, your discipline, your relationships, your dreams, your courage, your emotional strength, and ultimately, the life you end up living. The world you see outside is always shaped by the world you build inside. Change your thoughts, and you will change your feelings. Change your feelings, and you will change your decisions. Change your decisions, and you will change your habits. Change your habits, and you will change your life. This is why nothing changes until you do, and the first thing you must change is your mindset. Once your mind expands to a new level of belief, it will never shrink back to its old limitations. And once you begin thinking like the person you want to become, life begins opening doors you once thought were impossible. Every great transformation begins with a single internal decision. I will no longer think like the person who stays stuck. I will think like the person who grows. From that moment on, everything changes. Asterisk. Rule 2. Asterisk, asterisk. Take one small action every day, asterisk. Taking one small action every day is the most powerful rule for transforming your life, because real change is not created through sudden inspiration, lucky breakthroughs, or giant leaps. It is created through the slow, steady, consistent steps that most people overlook, underestimate, or abandon before they realize how powerful they truly are. One small action may seem insignificant in the moment, but when repeated daily, it becomes the force that rewrites your habits, reshapes your identity, and rebuilds your life from the inside out. Every dream you have, whether it's becoming healthier, wealthier, more confident, more disciplined, more successful, or more fulfilled, begins with a simple choice to take just one meaningful step today, even if you don't feel ready, even if you don't feel motivated, and even if the step feels tiny compared to the mountain you want to climb. The truth is that most people stay stuck not because they lack intelligence or opportunity, but because they wait for the perfect moment to take massive action. They wait for clarity, they wait for confidence, they wait for energy, they wait for motivation. But motivation is not what produces action. Action is what creates motivation. The moment you take that small step, something shifts inside you. Your mind stops overthinking, your fear begins to shrink, your confidence grows by 1%, and your brain recognizes a powerful truth that you are not helpless, you are not stuck, you are not broken, you are capable of movement, and movement creates momentum. The human brain is wired to reward progress, not perfection, and even the smallest step activates the neural circuits responsible for motivation, discipline, and resilience. This is why taking small daily actions is more effective than relying on massive but inconsistent effort. Anyone can be intensely motivated for one day, But only a few choose to be slightly disciplined every day, and those few are the ones who change their lives. Small actions compound just like money in a bank. Every tiny step you take becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. If you take just one step towards your goal every day, that's 365 steps in a year, 365 moments when you moved forward instead of backward, 365 opportunities you created instead of waiting for someone to hand them to you, 365 ways you prove to yourself that you are capable of growth. Even if each step feels small, the journey becomes unstoppable. A 1% daily improvement may seem meaningless, but in a year it makes you 37 times better. That's the power of consistency. But most people sabotage themselves by believing that small steps don't matter. They want fast results, instant success, and quick transformations. They underestimate the compound power of showing up daily. They don't realize that every great success story is built on a mountain of small, ordinary, unglamorous actions that nobody sees: waking up early, practicing a skill, reading a few pages, saving a little money, doing a short workout, learning something new, cleaning one corner of the room, writing a few lines, studying a small chapter. None of these actions seem dramatic on their own, but together, they form the architecture of an extraordinary life. Taking one small action every day also transforms your identity. When you act daily, you stop seeing yourself as someone who wants to change and start seeing yourself as someone who is changing. Your actions become proof, evidence, and reinforcement for your new identity. Every time you repeat a small positive behavior, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. If you want to become a fit person, one push-up is a vote. If you want to become a disciplined person, 1 minute of reading is a vote. If you want to become confident, one small risk is a vote. If you want to become successful, one tiny step toward your goal is a vote. These votes matter. Identity is not created through big intentions, but through small, repeated actions. Over time, the votes accumulate and form a new self-image, stronger, more disciplined, more capable, more focused. But daily action also exposes the biggest enemy of change, the comfort zone. The comfort zone is where dreams go to die, not because the dream is impossible, but because comfort slowly convinces you that tomorrow is a better day to start. Tomorrow becomes next week, next month, next year, and eventually, never. But when you commit to one small action every day, you break the illusion of procrastination. You tell your brain that action happens now, not later. You change your relationship with discomfort because small steps are not overwhelming, they are manageable. They feel safe enough for your brain to allow them and powerful enough to move your life forward. Consistency beats intensity because consistency is sustainable while intensity fades. Small steps bypass fear, bypass overwhelm, and bypass the excuses that your mind uses to keep you stuck. They make progress feel possible. They make effort feel natural. They make change feel realistic. And slowly, they make you unstoppable. But perhaps the most powerful part of taking one small action every day is this: small steps build momentum. And momentum is the most valuable force in personal growth. Once you build momentum, you start craving progress. You start wanting to keep going. You start creating a chain of success that becomes harder to break. A day of action becomes two becomes a week becomes a month, and a month becomes a lifestyle. Success becomes a habit instead of a struggle. Discipline becomes automatic instead of forced. Growth becomes natural instead of painful. This is how transformation happens. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but quietly, patiently, persistently, through the accumulation of small steps repeated daily, regardless of mood, motivation, or circumstances. Taking one small action every day teaches you self-trust. It teaches you that you can rely on yourself, that you can keep your promises, that you can show up even when life feels heavy, that you can create progress even when conditions aren't perfect. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence. When you consistently show up for yourself, you begin to believe in your ability to succeed. You stop doubting yourself. You stop fearing failure. You stop overthinking. You start doing. You start moving. You start becoming. And even if you fail along the way, even if you stumble or slow down, small actions ensure that you never stop entirely. They keep the fire alive. They keep you in the arena. They keep you connected to your purpose. Small actions also make big goals less intimidating. If your dream feels too far away, break it down into small steps. Steps so simple you cannot say no. If you cannot exercise for 1 hour, start with 2 minutes. If you cannot write an entire chapter, write 1 sentence. If you cannot save a lot of money, save a small amount consistently. If you cannot study for long, study for 5 minutes. If you cannot change your whole routine, just change one small habit. This strategy works because success is not about doing more, it's about doing something every day. The transformation doesn't come from the size of the action, it comes from the consistency of the action. One small step each day is infinitely more powerful than a massive step you never take. And over time, daily small actions create a new reality. You wake up one day and realize you've improved your health, sharpened your mind, expanded your skills, deepened your discipline, strengthened your confidence, and built a life that once felt impossible. And you did it not through impossible effort, but through small, simple, repeated actions. This rule, taking one small action every day, is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. It is the difference between wishing and achieving, between dreaming and creating, between hoping and becoming. Your future will not be built in a single moment of inspiration, but in the thousands of tiny moments when you choose action over excuses, progress over perfection, discipline over comfort, and growth over stagnation. Taking one small action every day is the promise you make to your future self, a promise that you will not abandon yourself, that you will not quit on your dreams, that you will not leave your potential unused. It is the commitment to move forward even when nobody sees you, even when the results are slow, even when the journey feels lonely. Because you understand that great things are built brick by brick, day by day, step by step. And one day, those small steps will add up to something extraordinary, your transformed life. Asterisk. Rule 3. Asterisk, asterisk. Leave your comfort zone. Asterisk. Stepping out of your comfort zone is one of the most profoundly transformative decisions you will ever make, because the comfort zone, although it feels safe, familiar, predictable, and inviting, quietly becomes the greatest barrier between who you are and who you could become. It is a psychological space built from habits, routines, and beliefs that have protected you from stress, risk, and discomfort, but this same protection slowly becomes a prison that limits your potential. Every dream you wish to achieve, every new level of life you aim to reach, every skill you want to master, exists outside the walls of this zone of safety. The comfort zone is like warm water. It feels soothing at first, but the longer you sit in it, the more it drains your energy, courage, and ambition without you even noticing. Many people spend years, even decades, waiting for signs, motivation, or confidence before they take a leap, not realizing that confidence is something you earn only after stepping into the unknown. Leaving your comfort zone is not about recklessness. It's about intentionally placing yourself in situations that challenge you, stretch you, and require you to grow. It means embracing uncertainty, because without uncertainty, there is no expansion. Think about every major breakthrough in your life: learning to walk, ride a bicycle, speak in front of others, or survive. Change every one of these moments required you to push past fear and accept temporary discomfort. Growth has always demanded it. Fear is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that you are standing at the doorway of transformation. When you push through fear, you do not become a different person. You become the real version of yourself that fear was hiding. The comfort zone convinces you to play small. Don't try that, you might fail. What will people say? What if things go wrong? But life outside the comfort zone carries a different set of questions. What if you succeed beyond your imagination? What if your courage changes your life? What if this step is the one that unlocks everything you've been praying for? Growth is never accidental. It is always the result of intentional discomfort. The muscles,